What up, John Rogers? Rashad Green? Good to see you guys on here. Welcome, Alex Matthews, Deb Schurfeld. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Oh, there's my sister, Lori Sloane. All right. Thanks for tuning in live. Beth, Leah. All right, everybody. Happy Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. I don't know if it's such a happy holiday. It's a remembrance holiday. So we're keeping all those folks that we've lost in the past in our hearts, in our thoughts. With that said, I hope everybody's doing well. Hey Doug, hey Kimberly, thanks, I'm glad I'm here too. Got Portugal in the house, Thomas Mancini. Hey Melissa. All right. Well, I'm going to turn my camera around here so I can see all you lovely people. Well, I can't see you. But you can see me. And that's what counts, I guess. So that first thing that I was playing is some percussion. It's just a percussion part, actually, from a tune of mine, a great Brazilian percussionist, my buddy Bernardo. And I really love the way that that whole thing sounds. And so I figured that I would just play you just his percussion parts, and so you can check it out. This is a little teaser right here of a yet unreleased project with a great friend of mine named Helen Gillet. And Helen lives down in New Orleans, my favorite city on the planet. And this is a duo project that she and I have been working on. And it's going to be called Let It Shine. This tune is a tune called The Sun Never Says. So it's just cello and saxophone and woodwinds all the way through this. And I'll be keeping you guys apprised of when that's coming out, what's happening with all that. I want to let you know if you have any questions that you'd like to ask. You can put it into the comments. And I've got someone on the other side that is checking those out and getting them to me. So please let us know if you want to know anything. I see we've got Maine in the house, New York City in the house, Connecticut. Yeah, tell me where y'all are from. I see New Orleans. Hey, Tom in New Orleans. And Jim Provost, what's up? What's up, buddy? And let's see who else is out here. New York. Jackie Kane. Hey, Jackie Kane. What's up? All right. So that's The Sun Never Says. And that's going to be a really, really fun recording. So I've got a bunch of cool stuff going on tonight. Excuse me. And one of the things that I want to let you guys know about, a couple of cool things coming up, and I'll kind of let you know during the show. I am going to start doing some more teaching privately. Since I have basically a year off, I'm going to start taking private students again, in addition, of course, to the education work I do at Vanderbilt University. But I'm going to start taking private students. So if anybody you know that is interested, I'll be putting some stuff out either later tonight or tomorrow with the information on that. And I'm kind of offering lesson packages and that kind of thing. I'm very excited about it. I've been working on a new book also, an improvisational book, helping people kind of navigate improvisation. And so I'm super excited about that. I've been putting in a lot of time on that. So, things are moving forward with all that. And Nashville is moving forward as well. I think we're in phase 2 now, or just about to be. So I'm hoping that things will continue to go well and people will continue to, be safe and think about your fellow human that you're walking next to or sitting next to. But anyways, I hope everybody's doing well with all that. And let's see. See if anybody else has put in where they're from here. Let's see. Upstate New York, New Jersey. Hey, Eileen. What's up? Western Mass. I've been to Western Mass. Jackie Kane's around the corner from Sauter Farm. That's right. Hey, Dirk. Dirk Sloane's on. Idaho, Baltimore, Laconia, New Hampshire. More New Hampshire. Hey, New Hampshire. I don't know if you guys know, but I grew up in New Hampshire for many years. My mom still lives there. I think she's on here too, and checking out the live stream. And San Diego. Hey, Robert in San Diego. I think Seattle, Asheville, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Brunswick, Maryland, Pittsburgh. All over the place. All over the place. Again, if anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments, and we will get to those. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to be doing some lessons. I'm very excited about that, and been working with one of my former students at Vanderbilt who just graduated. He's finishing up a cool project, so I've been working with him on that, and that's going great. So I've been staying pretty busy here in my studio, just working on a lot of personal material. Been sending stuff around to a lot of different friends, not only here in Nashville, but New Orleans, Brazil. I've got Carlos Malta on something. You Dave Matthews Band fans will know Carlos Malta as the saxophonist and flute player, the fife, the pife player from Rio de Janeiro. And he's on the Dave Matthews Band live in Rio recording with us also. Very dear friend. And Bernardo Aguilar, who played percussion with Pife Mudano, which is Carlos's band. He's on a couple of tracks for me as well. I've got Chester Thompson's been doing some stuff. Got some of the guys from Preservation Hall, Ben Jaffe and some other folks. Charlie Gabriel, I think, is going to be playing on some stuff. Got Vic Wooten on some things, George Porter Jr., Nigel Hall, Michael League is going to be doing some stuff with me, playing some frame drum stuff. Alana Rockland from Sound Tribe Sector 9, Jordan Perlson on drums on a few things, Keith Carlock on drums from a few things. Keith plays with Steely Dan, lives here in town. We're doing some stuff with Nir Felder and Felix Pastorius in our various studios here coming up very quickly also. So there's a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of cool stuff going on that I'm really excited to share with everybody as we move forward. We've got a really great record coming out on Ear Up Records from a buddy of mine, a very old dear friend of mine named John McKenna, who is a really great saxophonist. And this album is blistering. Beautiful tunes, incredible playing. And that'll be coming out sometime in June. So we'll keep you posted on that also and try to get John on here and talk to him live about the recording and our 30-plus year, 40-year friendship. Amazing. And so anyhow, I want to play a track for you that I just found the other day. And there's a couple other things I'm going to get into. But this is a track. I won't play you the whole thing. It's about 8 minutes long. And but I might be using this for something soon to help a buddy out with. But this is a duo that I did with a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Brad Terry, who lives up in Maine. He's an incredible clarinetist, and Brad's been a huge part of the scene in Maine for many, many years. And I used to teach in the Maine Jazz Camp, I think starting in 1991. I taught there until 1997 when I joined the Flecktones, and I couldn't do it anymore. But I kind of cut my teeth as an educator with all these amazing students for 2 weeks every summer, and we'd be hanging out up in Farmington, Maine, and we were washing in the lake and hanging out and swimming and talking about music and listening to jazz and playing, and people like George Garzone were up there, and Steve Grover and Tony Gabry, Brad Terry, just tons of people. Chris Van Voorsven bass, really, really brilliant musicians. And so I found this recently. This is a duo that Brad and I had done, and this is a tune that a lot of folks have been playing lately, and I want to play it for you. It seems quite appropriate. I think that's why a lot of people have been playing it. But it's me on tenor and Brad on clarinet. And I'll just play you just a few minutes of this. But it's a sweet track. It's called "Alone Together," and I remember recording this with him. I think I had a little cassette player, and so I hope you dig it. And this is Brad Terry on clarinet, and myself on tenor saxophone. Brad walking bass lines on the clarinet. Again, this is from the early 90s with myself and Brad Terry on clarinet. The great Brad Terry. Brad has one of my favorite clarinet sounds. Period. It's really informed the way that I play clarinet. I don't have a more profound influence on clarinet than Brad Terry. Brad can play any tune in any key at any tempo. It's crazy. He has ears of gold. Music makes me happy. Hey, Archie and Aaron. Charlie King. What's up, Charlie King? Huh. Oh, it's swinging hard, man. Just two of us swinging hard. It's all Brad. I'm just following him. Looks like I'm going to end up playing you the whole thing. Just can't turn it off. Some people ask what I practice, and these days I practice tunes in 12 keys. That's my primary focus, is working on tunes in 12 keys, to kind of put myself in a position of having to play in keys that are unfamiliar. And so this, after I heard this is the tune that I've been going back and working on in 12 keys for the last few days or so. And Brad is such an inspiration, I can't even tell you. Man, that brings back some memories. That was Brad Terry on the clarinet. Brad lives up in Maine and is an amazing, amazing musician and educator, and just an incredible, incredible human being. So if Brad is listening, I did send him a note a little earlier. I don't even have his phone number. Brad, if you're listening, send me your phone number through email. I'll ask you for it later anyhow. But I think the last phone number I had from him, he was living in Poland, and he would go over there every summer and work with young Polish jazz students, and he would bring them back, and they would come to the main jazz camp, and they would be crushing. They'd be like 14 years old, you know, and just killing it. And so Brad's always been quite involved with that, and that was from 93, 94, something like that, pretty early in the 1990s. I must have been in my single digits. But anyhow, as I was saying, I taught at the Maine Jazz Camp for a number of years, and really cut my teeth on education up there, and had a lot of fun getting to know those guys, those musicians, and I still see and hear from some of the students that were at the Maine Jazz Camp. So if any of you are out there that were at the Maine Jazz Camp, hello, and I hope you're doing well. So let's see, another announcement. Oh, yeah, I want to let you know that one of the reasons that I do this every Friday, besides it's really fun for me, is to help raise money for local musicians. Through the itastudiostreams.com website, that's ITA, Into the Air, this is my studio, Into the Air, itastudiostreams.com. You can donate through PayPal there. I think there's a link up on the Facebook page. 100% of that money goes to local musicians. In early June, we will start having live shows back up here, and we'll probably go up to the size of a trio, maybe the quartet, and we'll be taking every necessary precaution, of course, to keep everyone safe and healthy. But I'm excited to get back to that. And so what this fund allows is the leader of the group will have their PayPal and Venmo info up, and you can tip them as they're playing. And it also allows me to be able to pay them individually in addition to the money that they're getting. So with basically, 2 months at least of gigs that have been gone, no telling when things are going to open up for musicians fully here in Nashville. This is a good opportunity for me to be able to get them some much needed and much deserved money. So itastudiostreams.com, you can check that out. And let's see, what else? Yeah, the studio stream is starting back up in June. Next Friday, this is exciting for me. You guys probably know Humphreys McGee, the group, and my buddy Brendan Bayless, who plays guitar and sings in the group. I'm going to have him with me next Friday. That's May 29th at 7 p.m. Central on my live stream. I'll either be doing it here or on Instagram, but we will let you know which. And I've known Brendan for many, many years. Humphreys first came out with the Flecktones when we were doing the Acoustic Planet tour, and we met then. He was just a young whippersnapper, and now he's an older whippersnapper. I love him to death, and he's going to come on. We're just going to talk shit the entire time. He says he's going to bring on 3 jokes, and so I'm sure they won't be very good. So I hope you'll tune in to hear Brendan Bayless's very bad jokes. Okay. I'm going to get to a couple of questions. I'm going to grab my horn also. Let's see, a couple of questions. What was the best memory with Roy? He means, he or she means Leroy Moore. Well, the times that we got to hang out and talk shop and obviously play together, I really loved Roy. He was great, beautiful human being. And, I don't know anybody that loved the saxophone and making music as much as he did. But when the Flecktones would open for Dave Matthews, Roy would be the first guy that I would see. They would put me in the tuning room, which was Roy's room, where all his gear would be stored, and that was kind of his warm-up space. And so I would go in there and hang out, and we would talk shop. We would talk about mouthpieces and reeds and ligatures and different necks and different horns, and it was so much fun, man. I had a lot of really great memories with him, and he's sorely missed, of course, not only by me, but I know by all the fans and of course the band as well. So yeah, those are good memories with Roy. Ever played with Edwin Lacey? I do not think I know Edwin Lacey at the University of Evansville, but he's a great musician, someone is saying, so I would love to be able to check him out sometime. Let's see, someone's asking about the Flecktones in 2002 or 3 in Northampton, Mass. This is great. I saw the Flecktones back in 2002 or 2003 in Northampton before I knew how to appreciate music, in parentheses. Were you with them during that time? I was. I played with Bale Fleck and the Flecktones from 1997 up until 2010. So for 2008 and 2009 and into 2010, I did double duty with Dave Matthews and the Flecktones. I can't remember if we had any gigs in 2010. I know 2008 and 2009, but maybe 2010 is when it stopped. But just saw Baylor recently. His son had a birthday, and so he was asking folks to come to the driveway and wave from the bottom of the driveway. So I brought my horn over, and they had those little party favors, kind of like and the little thing with, like stuff on the end of them that, like a little horn, And so they were playing, and my wife and I went over there and stood in the driveway and played Happy Birthday for them, and it was very sweet. It was great to see them. Bailey's got a big beard, and seems like he's doing good, though. Someone asked about the Brad Terry recording. Is it a one-off, or did you do a duet record? No, that was just him and I in a room hanging out. It was a big room. You could hear a lot of room noise in there, but I had a little Walkman cassette player that I recorded that with, and again, I just found it just last week or something on a cassette, and I put it into Pro Tools and cleaned it up as best I could, as quickly as I could, and played it for you tonight. Let's see. I'm going to play a little something for you. I'm going to do this is kind of special. This is really fun. I did this today. This is from a play along that I put out last year. It's got 11 of my tunes on it, and I think 39 tracks of music. So you have different configurations that you can play the tunes, and tunes like Espoo You, The Mad Hatter Rides Again, Tall and Lanky, Sweet Magnolias, Move Your Rug, and this next tune called Al's Greens, well, my niece is in town. My niece came down from Cincinnati to spend the long weekend with us, and her name is Morgan, and so she also plays trumpet. And so earlier today we were hanging out, and I said, hey, would you do me a favor and like play some of these melodies for me? And so without telling her that I was going to use this tonight, I told her afterwards, and she was very excited about it. But I had her play the melodies of this tune. I put a flute part down first, and then I had her play along with that, and she has such a great feel, like she'll listen to something and then play it back, like even when I'm laying stuff back, like way back, and it was really fun. We laughed a lot. We continue to laugh a lot, and so I'm very excited that she's here for the weekend, and I know that she's listening in the house. So hey, Morgan. So I'm going to play this for you, and I'm going to record my part live, and we're going to release this. We're going to give it away for free for 48 hours, starting tomorrow, and so you'll be able to check it out. If you're interested in the sheet music, I've given a couple of tunes away in the past, but if you're interested in checking out the book, you can go to jeffcoffin.com. And I think you can also go to jeffcoffin.shop, and you can check out all the stuff that I have available there, CDs and books and whatnot. So I am going to turn the camera around so that you can see the screen as it's going down live, so you know that I'm not just jiving you. And I want to let you know also that since I started doing these live streams, we have had over 200,000 views, and I want to thank you guys so much for checking this stuff out. It really means a lot to me that you come out and listen to this and hang out with me, because I like hanging out with you. And I will be doing them every Friday, and so yeah, keep tuning in. Let some folks know. So this is Morgan's part. You see it up here. It says Morgan Trumpet right there. Oh, you can't see that. Hang on a second. Okay, now you can see it right here. It says Morgan Trumpet. So that's her part, and my part will be below that. I'll expand this just a little bit so that when I record, you can see exactly what's going on there as well. So I'll take a solo on this also. I'll play my part. Hopefully I'll play it correctly. And then, as I said, we're going to release this tune tomorrow for 48 hours for a free download, and you'll be able to check it out. All right. I've got a reed that I think will play, at least for one tune, and I'm going to mute the talk button, the talk mic, and here we go. One, two, three, four. That's Felix Pastorius on the bass. Felix Pastorius on the bass. Yeah, okay, so that was Al's Greens. I hope you like that. That's a fun tune. For those music nerds that are out there, and I'm sure there are some of you, as well as me, of course, that tune was inspired by a Joe Henderson tune. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it's got a Latin vibe to it, but basically it's these descending dominant chords. And so I thought, man, that's a cool idea. It's a really simple idea for a tune, and I wonder. I'll turn this back around so that y'all can see me. And I remember thinking, I wonder what I could do with kind of just such a simple idea of just using dominant chords to write a tune. So that's what I came up with. I believe that Future Man came up with the name, and because it kind of had this real soulful groove. And I think we'd been listening to Al Green in the van when I was out touring with the Mutet with Felix and Future Man, Chris Walters, Kofi Burbridge, the late, great, very dear, beautiful, unbelievable soul, Kofi Burbridge, who we miss so much, was touring with me also. And so we would play this tune, and before it had a name, I remember one night Future Man said, we get done playing it, and he didn't preface it with anything, of course. He just kind of looks and goes, Al's Greens. I said, well, okay, that's the name of it. But so one of the reasons I put flute on here earlier today was thinking about Kofi, and he's on the original recording of that tune, which I believe is on maybe Mutopia, or I think it's Mutopia. I think it goes tagging into Al's Greens. But if any of you are familiar with Tedeschi Trucks Band, Kofi was with that group for many, many years, since the beginning of that group, and he had played with Derek Trucks before that. And we lost Kofi a little while back, and still a big hole in my heart for him. So I always think about him when we're playing this tune. He played this amazing flute solo on it. God, he was unbelievable. Keys and flute, and there's nobody like him. His brother Oteil Burbridge, who I'm sure many of you know, he would call Kofi the genius of the family. And if any of you know Oteil's playing through Dead and Company or Aquarium Rescue Unit or any of that, you understand the depth of that comment. And it used to be me and Kofi, and sometimes Jeff Sipe would be out with us. Had Bill Fanning on trumpet, Felix Pastorius on bass. As I said, he was playing on this track. So it was a lot of fun, man. We had a lot of good times together, and there'll be a lot of good times coming up also. So stay tuned for all that. Okay, so usually what I do is I kind of break a tune down a little bit, but this is kind of to a play along track, so there's not much to break down. But what I am going to do is I'm just going to let you hear a little bit of just the horns, and just the flute, the trumpet, and the sax, just to kind of hear how that interaction is going on. And I'm going to see if I can find where the melody starts. Well, I'll just go from the beginning, because we're kind of playing over the top of it. I'll give you a little bit of the track with it, so you can hear it. And I'm going to duck out the track as it goes on, so you can hear just the horns. Okay, here you go.
1, 2.
That's me, by the way.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Start ducking the track out. So over this part, over the melody, you can hear I'm just blowing little bits of the solo. Just kind of fills. The B section. Some of you saw the plunger that was in my house recently. The plunger belonging to my great friend George Tidwell. I had Morgan use that today, so she was using the plunger of royalty here in Nashville. Ah, it feels so good. That's the landmark in the tune right there. So on and so forth. So, anyhow, I'll let this play quietly in the background, and every time I hear it go into the solo break, the only thing I can think of is Kofi on the recording playing this crazy flute break. Yeah, he was really. I know I've talked about him a bunch here in the last couple of minutes, but there was nobody like him, man. Nobody like him at all. So, well, we get just a few more minutes here, and time goes quick, man. 7:45 already. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me, and I want to get to a few more questions here. Again, I want to let you know. Next, all right, I gave Morgan a shout out there. I got to play that again for you. Hang on a second. All right, so she's playing the background figures underneath me, like using the plunger, right? So check this out in the middle of the solo. Here's the bridge. Oh, what a pleasure. What a pleasure it is to be around that human being. Amazing. So on next Friday at 7 o'clock Central, I'm going to have the great Brendan Bayless on here from Humphreys McGee. And we're going to be talking music. And he's promised to bring in 3 jokes, which I'm sure will suck. And so we'll try to fill up the time in other ways. But for the last, I think, 13 or 14 years, every New Year's Eve, I play with Humphreys McGee in their various locations as part of the Dirty Little Secrets horn section with Mad Dog and a couple of the folks, Chris Odd and a variety of folks have been there through the years. But we have a great time together, and so I know that a lot of you have checked out that music and that band. So let me get to the last couple of questions here. And again, the stuff I played earlier was Brad Terry on clarinet. Some duet stuff that we had done many, many years ago in Maine at the Maine Jazz Camp. Someone said, beautiful playing. Thank you very much for that. Any suggestions on how to get such a rich subtone on the tenor like you have? Well, a lot of it's practice. A lot of it is developing a good sound through long tones. Listening to players that you like, really learning to control the airstream, the embouchure. It's just hours, to work on it. I've been playing a very long time, and but I appreciate it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And so yeah, just practice time, basically. Tips. Oh, this is good. Tips for sending tunes around to cats and getting an in-person vibe. Well, what they're talking about on that, and I think I'll play something else for you here also, so that you can hear sort of what we're talking about. So basically, a lot of us have been sending material to other musicians, having them play on things, and this is something that I've never played for you guys, and I've just been working on it. Let's see. I don't think that's it. Oh, it's under a different letter. Into the Grove. So this is a tune. So basically, in sending stuff around to people, you want to try to get as much of an in-person vibe as possible, meaning like if you were all in the studio together at the same time. So this tune is a tune that I wrote. This is actually a big band tune. And I'll tell you all the folks that are on this also, some very, very dear friends of mine. And so this is a tune that I wrote for those of you who know who Roy Hargrove was. Roy Hargrove was a brilliant trumpeter, trumpet player for his generation and others. And he passed away last year. He was young. I want to say he was in his early, mid-40s, mid to late 40s. I don't think he was 50 yet. But anyhow, he was a brilliant, brilliant musician. And I wrote this the night that he passed, kind of in remembrance of him and of the many others that we've lost through the years way too young. And so on this, this is an alto saxophone feature, so I'm playing alto on it. I'm playing the melody part, the lead part on it. I've got a really wonderful pianist here in Nashville named Matt Endall, who's a great friend, and I've worked with Matt many, many times here in town. He's a brilliant player. The great Jonathan Wires on bass. John is an incredible composer. I produced and played on his record. It's called Weaving, and it's a beautiful record on Ear Up Records. You can check that out. John is a very, very dear friend and an incredible bassist. So he's playing bass on this, and I've got Jim White on drums on this one. That's right, Jim White, who used to live here in Nashville, and he and I went to North Texas together. And Jim is a very, very dear friend. Lives out in Colorado now, and so I think this is the first thing that he did remotely. So I'm super happy to have him on this. I've got Barry Green on trombone, Roy Agee on trombone, Eddie Clark on bass trombone. Let's see, who is this? That's a blank track. We've got Kelsey Muir playing baritone sax. Mike Haynes is playing flugelhorn. Steve Patrick is playing flugelhorn. Got both of those guys playing a couple of different parts. I'm going to get my dear friend Rashawn Ross, my partner in crime. He's going to be playing the other solo part on this. He and Roy actually knew each other pretty well, and I know that Rashawn was very influenced by Roy Hargrove's playing. So I'm excited to get him on this. It's going to be gorgeous, He'll be playing the flugelhorn part with me on alto. I have Evan Cobb on tenor. I've got my friend John McKenna playing the other tenor, and which is very exciting to me. I've known John, like I said, for almost 40 years. It's insane. I've got Jovan Coelho playing alto saxophone, second alto, and I've got one of my dearest friends on the planet, Dave Pietro, playing lead alto on this. And so this is not mixed. I'm still waiting on Rashawn's part, but I'll get you to hear this. So basically, the question was, how do you get people to play with a good vibe? You know, I start from the bottom up with this stuff. I start with the drums, and build up from there. So I did drums and then bass, and then piano, and then I started to send it around to people. So that once you have the rhythm section, if you've got really great players who know the feel of a tune, and I kind of demoed it out also on my own, so people would be able to hear the melody and have something to kind of play to. So as long as everybody understands the vibe and everybody's listening and is familiar with sort of stylistically where this comes from, then it's fine. So that's kind of what I recommend. It's a great question because a lot of us are doing that these days. So I'm going to play a little bit of this. I won't play the whole thing. I'll play just a minute or two. It's called Into the Grove. 1, 2, 3. Definitely influenced by the South African pianist Abdullah Ibrahim, who's one of my favorites. Comes in here. Arrangement by a guy named Bob Washut, who taught up at the University of Northern Iowa for many years. Bob Washut, beautiful arranger. Take you out during the solo here. So on and so forth. So that's something else I'm working on. And it's a lot of fun. Okay, good time for a couple more questions here. One person is asking about this place called Curbside Clothing, where I get a bunch of my shirts. And I love this stuff. I'm wearing one right now, actually. And they're wondering, how tall am I and what size shirt do you wear from Curbside? I'm 5'11", I'm a Leo, and I wear an extra large. And my eyes are hazel. Sometimes green, sometimes blue. It's great. I mean, they have some really, really cool stuff. And so I wear their stuff all the time. It's great. CurbsideClothing.com. Check them out. Let's see. A couple other questions. Have you ever played in the Jazz District in Kansas City, 18th and Vine? I have, actually. And Kansas City has got a great scene going on. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on out there. It's very hip, and I hope that you live there, so that you can so that you can check it out, because there's a lot of really fine musicians out there. Was Bill McHenry at the Maine Jazz Camp? I think Bill was there after I left. I think maybe he was there in the late 90s. I actually don't know Bill. I don't think that we've ever met, but he's a hell of a player. How do I deal with tempo changes? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. If you mean like odd meter, or if you mean like faster tempos or slower tempos. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. Maybe if you resubmit that question, I can figure out a better answer. Who's my favorite female saxophonist? Okay, well, this actually leads me into one other thing. There's some really, really great female saxophone players out there, and one of my very favorites, she's a dear friend of mine, and I met her, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and she was one of the winners of the Yamaha Young Artist, the Young Performing Artist competition. Her name is Alexa Tarantino, and Alexa is living in New York now, and doing incredibly well. She's a brilliant saxophonist, incredible doubler, and wonderful composer. She just had her first record come out last year. So it's Alexa Tarantino, like Quentin Tarantino. I haven't actually asked her if they're related. I'm going to have to find out. I don't think so, but it's an unusual name. But it's Alexa, Alexa, Tarantino. And I'm going to be doing a workshop online. She started a jazz camp a few years ago called a Step Ahead Jazz Camp. And I think you can find that on Facebook. We'll try to put up a link to that as well if it's not already up there, which I think it might be. But June 29th from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be talking with her students and presenting. I'm not sure if we're doing a live stream or what we're doing, but whatever it is, it's going to be fun and it's going to be silly. And she's a great friend and an incredible musician. So I hope you all will check her out. Alexa Tarantino. Okay. What is your favorite DMB song? Man, I should really pick one because I don't actually have a favorite one. A lot of people ask that, but I don't really have a favorite one. Reason being, primarily, is that when I learned the book, I learned it all at once. So that's kind of, that's kind of how it happened. All right. Let's see, I think that person submitted their question again. I mean, when you're doing the recordings over the internet, how would you accomplish a tempo change with the band? I'm still totally not following the question. Maybe I'm missing something. We deal with tempo changes. Do you mean chord changes? Maybe they mean chord changes. I don't know. But tempo changes, it would be like if something is going 1, 2, 3, da, da, if that was the groove, it suddenly went like from 1, 2, 3, to da, 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 or from 1, da, da, to dun, 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 dun. That's a tempo change. I'm not sure if maybe you mean chord changes. I don't know. But there's not many tempo changes in my tunes. There's usually the groove, the tempo stays, but I do a lot of odd meter tunes. So the subdivision is either an up or down. So if you're in 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the down becomes the up becomes the down. But I don't really change tempos. I think there's one tune called My Dog Chunks that we change the tempo in. I mean, we don't purposefully change the tempo. Sometimes it happens, but it's not on purpose. Hey, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. And once again, I appreciate you very much for checking out this. And I want to thank my niece Morgan Sloane once again for playing that music tonight with me on Al's Greens. And we are going to be giving away that tune for 48 hours starting tomorrow. And whatever questions there are, we'll try to get to them next time. We appreciate those very much. There's a few that I did not get to. I apologize. And we're going to go out with the same thing that we came in with, which is some of this great percussion stuff for Bernardo Aguilar down in Brazil. And this is from a tune of mine that right now is just called the bass clarinet tune. And you know what? I'm going to actually play that for you because it's a really cool tune. And he plays at the end of this. And he plays all over the front of it too. And so, let's see, bass clarinet tune. It's nice to be organized. I can find everything. This is the great Chester Thompson playing on this also. Felix Pastorius on bass. I'm playing some percussion stuff. I'm playing bass clarinet, melodica, clarinet, piccolo, alto flute, bass flute. There's clapping that I'm doing on it. There's all sorts of stuff. So, anyways, I'm gonna leave you all with this, and I will say once again, thank you very, very much. Again, I will be starting to do some teaching. I'm going to be announcing that either later tonight or tomorrow, and there'll be information where you can get in touch and schedule lessons through my assistant Brian, who helps me set up my education work, and he's awesome. And so, hope some of you will consider that, or if you know a saxophone player who's interested. As you know, I love teaching, and so I'm going to start getting back into it, doing a little bit more of that privately as well. So thank you all again, and this is the bass clarinet tune. It doesn't have a better name than that right now. If you have a better name than that, write it on a $50 or $100 bill and send it through the internet to me. All right, y'all. Thank you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Hope you enjoy this.